it's Clemmy from the NARM Clinic, and this week I'm going to be talking about fermented foods. So some of you may have seen these in the shops or seen them being talked about quite a lot in the press. Others may not have a clue what I'm talking about, but sit tight and hopefully by the end of this you will. So first of all, what are fermented foods? Fermented foods, sometimes also referred to as probiotic foods, are made when live microbes, so bacteria, break down a food and produce different compounds and transform that food and ferment it. So this is actually a process that's been around for thousands of years as a form of food preservation before refrigeration was invented. But actually since then, when we have other ways of refrigeration to prevent spoiling of food, fermented food has decreased in popularity apart from in some cultures. So a common example that we see today is yogurt made from milk. So this is when bacteria are put into milk, they grow and they change and they multiply and they produce different compounds, and that changes the flavour, the texture and the nutrients into milk and transforms it into yogurt. So why are fermented foods gaining so much traction? Why might they be beneficial to us? So research has shown that fermented foods, which contain live microbes, could actually benefit the bacteria that live and reside in our digestive tract and enhance our gut microbiome, which we know is beneficial for our health. So fermented foods also improve often the food taste, texture and digestibility of foods. They can increase some concentrations of vitamins and other active compounds in some foods. They can remove or reduce toxins or anti-nutrients in raw foods. And they can also, as we said initially, increase food safety and shelf life. So examples of foods containing live cultures, fermented foods: yogurt, as I've already said, kefir, fresh sauerkraut, fresh kimchi, also some cheeses and some fresh dill pickles as well. So what's the difference between probiotics and fermented foods? So those of you who saw my video from last week, I was talking about probiotics, but what's the difference here with probiotics and fermented foods? So fermented foods do provide a source of live microbes, but that doesn't actually mean that they're rich sources of probiotics. So often the bacteria that grow are unclear or they are not in high enough amounts to be termed as specifically probiotics. So very much fermented foods can provide extra diversity and variety in our diet and may be a source of bacteria to help support the bacteria in our intestines. They don't actually reach that amount to be classed as in the category of a probiotic. So, last but not least, should we be including them in our diet? The short answer is yes. We know that including a diverse range of plant foods in our diet is good for us, and fermented foods do form a part of this and help us increase that diversity. However, as with everything, they are not for everyone. Caution should definitely be taken if you're pregnant with any unpasteurized foods. And for some people, they don't like fermented foods, they don't like the taste, perhaps they don't suit, and they don't work for everyone. So if that's you, don't worry, you're not particularly missing out, but just include a variety of whole grains, fruits and vegetables and fibres and what we call prebiotics, which are food for our microbes inside us, and that will also give you the diversity you need. Now, on that topic of fibre and prebiotics, I'm actually going to be covering more of that in my video and my article next week, so we'll see you then. Thanks very much for listening.